Ok.
Olá, pessoal, bem-vindos ao Cirklo, Ensino em Saúde. Eu sou a professora Fabiana Silva, vou estar com vocês hoje aqui fazendo, um bate-papo muito especial sobre Fascia, com o professor Marcos Rosman e com a professora Ana Otsubo. Então, vocês podem ficar bem à vontade para fazer perguntas no chat. E a professora Ana também vai escrever as ideias principais do que o professor Marcos falar, para quem ficar com alguma dúvida, ou que tiver um pouquinho mais de dificuldade para entender o inglês, então vai poder acompanhar também aí a palestra, tá? So, hello guys, thank you so much for staying here. Professor Marcos.
Hello everybody.
And Professor Ana Otsubo.
Boa noite a todos.
So, Professor Marcos is a certificate in physical education, is a teacher, certified Hofer, movement therapist, and expert in fascia, exercise and treatment, e founder of the Fascial Walk. Então, o professor Marcos tem bastante experiência no trabalho com a fáscia, ele é educador físico, certificado em HOF, terapeuta do movimento, expert em fáscia, e tanto nos exercícios quanto no tratamento, e fundador do Fascial Walk. E a professora Ana Otsubo é fisioterapeuta formada pela USP, e ela também trabalha com fáscia, tem formação no Fascial Fitness, e tem todo um trabalho agora direcionado ao Fascial Pilates, que ela vem dando workshops no Brasil inteiro, e também entende muito de movimento e vai nos ajudar aqui, e vai conversar também com a gente durante esse webinar, ok? So, Professor Marcos, can you start your lecture?
Yes, of course, I can.
Ok, o professor Marcos vai usar slides, então vocês vão poder acompanhar tanto a fala, mas vão ter uma informação visual bem interessante. Ele vai mostrar os slides. E, por favor, sintam-se à vontade para fazer as perguntas, porque a ideia do webinar é essa interação, que a gente esteja trocando as ideias juntos. So, I was saying that, Professor Marcos, you will show slides, 50
Yes.
slides, and people can ask if they have questions. So we would like this interaction between the audience and you and Anna and me.
Okay, so thank you very much for the invitation to talk about fascia meets muscle. My name is Marcus Rossmann and I come from Germany, close to Munich, and I studied sports in the University of Munich, and I'm also a certified rolfer. So at first I worked at fitness clubs, and later I changed to a rehabilitation center. And then I started my rolfing study, and there I met Dr. Robert Schleib. And later I worked in his office, and I knew that he was very fond of fascia studies and fascia science. So once he realized that fascia can be treated not only by manipulation, but also by special movements. So we started with a group to create a new system, to create a new fascial training system. And now I'm for 7 years out there all over the world and make that fascial training workshops. So there was really a hype out there about the fascia, and everything was fascia, only fascia. And of course that was wrong, because fascia is not more important than muscle, but it's also not less important. So it's very important that we knew that you cannot separate muscle and fascia. It's always together, and in every movement you make, you have muscle and fascia. But of course, you can make a workout exercises with more emphasis on muscles and more emphasis on fascia, and that's very important. And to create the healthiest body, to create the best performance, we need now to stimulate muscle at the best way and fascia in the best way, and then to bring that together. So that was the reason why I started the new concept, fascia meets muscle. And now we create a new workout where you bring in one workout together, the best fascia exercise with the best muscle exercise. And that's what I want to show you in the next hour. So I want to start now with my PowerPoint presentation. So I hope it works now to change there, but I think it will. Okay, can you see that all?
Yeah, we can.
So fascia meets muscle is the new concept, what I want to tell you right now in the next hour. And at the beginning, the best for health and performance is always the balance between stability and flexibility. And of course, to bring that together, because in any kinds of sports and movements, sometimes you need more stability and sometimes you need more flexibility, and you always have to coordinate that. And for this coordination, the fascial system is very important, because there is a continuity to, there are connections between muscle and muscle and muscle and organs and muscle and bones. The fascial spiderweb is connecting everything with everything. So this system is very important to have to create a good flexibility, to create a good stability, and bring that together in a coordination. So in our sports culture, lots of people are going to fitness clubs and they do a lot of strength training. And of course, they have a good stability, but they are a little bit lack of flexibility. On the other side, we have lots of people who do lots of flexibility training. And of course, they are really good in flexibility, but they have a lack of stability. So the best way for staying healthy and to get the best performance, we should try to combine strength and flexibility training. And at the end, we should add some swinging, bouncing, and jumping exercises, because this is exactly the missing link, because those exercises, those movements are more fascial training. So when we try to create a better fascial system, that means that we also get a better flexibility, a better stability, and of course a better coordination of flexibility and stability in movements. And when we look out in all different kinds of sports, where we have the best relationship between stability and flexibility, we have to look, of course, to the apparatus gymnastics, because those guys and girls, they have really good strength, they have really good flexibility, and they have a wonderful defined body. So we should look what kind of workout they do. And when we look at them, they do a lots of functional strength exercises. They also do a lots of flexibility exercises. And of course, they do a lots of swinging and jumping exercises. And at the end, they make combinations out of that. And that's the reason why they have so wonderful bodies, so good flexibility and also stability. So for me, those guys and girls make a really good, a fantastic muscle fascia training. So for me, it was a question, can we do that in a normal workout also? Can we bring that in the fitness clubs? Can we bring that in the rehabilitation centers? And of course, we can. But at the beginning, we have to accept that we have a new anatomy, that we have to bring together muscle and fascia in our manipulations and also in our workouts. So we have to accept that in our body, we have a system which connects everything with everything, which connects muscle with muscle, muscle with bones, bones with organs. Anything is connected with everything. We have a kind of three-dimensional spider web in our body, which is very elasticity and which can store a lot of kinetic energy, what can make our movements much more economic. So again, we know a lot about muscle and muscle training, but we still do not know a lot about fascia and fascial training. So before we come to the fascia meets muscle concepts, we have to talk about fascia again. So the definition of fascia, we have two definitions. One is the definition for the doctors. They say it's only rough membrane. But the scientists for fascia, they said, we have to do with movement. And for that, we say fascia is all elastic structures, meaning all fibers and collagen connective tissue structures. And that means now that fascia is not only the tissue, the envelope around the muscle fibers and around the muscle bundles. It's also the ligaments, the tendons, and the joint capsules, which are fascia structures. So at the end, we can say we have two types of fascia. On one side, we have the so-called soft fascia. These are the envelopes of the collagen envelopes of the muscles, of the muscle fibers, of the organs, and also of the muscle bundles. But also we have a little tiny collagen elastic fibers connecting everything with everything. And this picture here is my favorite picture because you can see here some muscle fibers, and in between there are all those collagen fibers. And to stay elastic and to have a good performance, we need elastic collagen fibers inside there. And when you look to a short video animation of Dr. Gimberto strolling under the skin, you can see that. So you have the connection from the muscle to the skin. You have the connection from the muscle to the bones. But you see this elastic collagen fiber system. And if you see that, you see you need that collagen, that elastic collagen fibers to stay elastic, to stay flexible, and also to have the best performance for your muscles. So we need some stimulations for this stuff, for this collagen fibers. So the second type of fascia are the hard fascia, are the ligaments, the tendons, and the joint capsules. And therefore, the collagen fibers are more parallel structures, but they also have a crimp. And this crimp is very important because you can store kinetic energy in those structures. And you can give it back to the body again. So when you make movements, those structures can store kinetic energy and then can give it back to the body. And if you lose this crimp, you cannot store kinetic energy anymore. And the second thing is you get more injuries because those structures are not so elastic anymore. So again, we need always a stimulation for that structures that they stay elastic, that they can store kinetic energy. And those structures need jumping, bouncing, swinging exercises to stay healthy. So when you see that, we just watch this video here, a short video. So you see the calf muscle up here and you see the Achilles tendon. And when you jump and when you have a healthy body, the system works like this. So the calf muscle is just working isometrically. So there's no much length change. But the Achilles tendon is working like a spring. So the Achilles tendon low with kinetic energy and then give it back to the body. But lots of people are not able to do that because they don't have an Achilles tendon which is so elastic like this. And then the muscle has to work much more and has to make much more energy to make that movement. So when the body is healthy, when you have a spring like an Achilles tendon, and when this system works, you need much less energy for a jump or for running. So we need stimulations also for the Achilles tendon that it gets like a spring. So what is fascia made of? I just want to jump in short in there. Fascia is made of cells, and the extracellular matrix, the extracellular matrix is this round substance, that's water with sugar molecules, and the fibers. And the most fibers we have in fascia is collagen and elastin. That's the most important. We have some more, but it's not important for us. And on the other side, we have the cells. And the most cells and the most important cells are the fibroblasts. Because the fibroblasts are those cells who will destruct collagen and construct new collagen and elastin. So we need a stimulation, we need a good mechanical stimulation that the fibroblasts make a good work, that they start to destruct all the bad collagen and elastin and to build up new elastic, good watery collagen and elastin fibers. So how can we activate those fibroblasts? And we see we need that mechanical stimulation. We need movements. And especially the fibroblasts like jumping, bouncing, and swimming. And when they start to work, when they are activated, there starts a biochemical reaction where they also release a substance called insulin growth factor. And the more we create that insulin growth factor, the better is the collagen synthesis. And now we would like to know which is the best movement that we can create a lots of insulin growth factor, that we have the best build up collagen and elastin new fibers. So good movements for collagen synthesis are active stretching, swinging and bouncing, jumping exercises. We will come up to that later in some videos. But the best movements for collagen synthesis are active stretching, swinging and bouncing, jumping exercises, but this has to include movement variations. You have to make all exercises with a maximum pre-stretching, and in the maximum of pre-stretching, you have to make mini bounces. And then you have the best stimulation for those fibroblasts. So when we look to some exercises, so we make some stretching exercises. Everybody knew those exercises for stretching the hamstrings. You get in one position and you stay there. And of course, it's pretty good for your muscles, and it's also a little bit good for your fascia. But when you want to activate more from those fibroblasts, when you want to have more collagen synthesis, you have to make active stretching. And active stretching looks like that. That you change a lots of positions, yes, that you make movement variations, and you look for the best individual stretch. You look to that spaces where you really feel a really good stretch. And when you find this stretch position, you start to bounce 3 to 5 times. And that's again is the best activation for the fibroblasts. When we go to jumping, of course, any kind of jumping is good for fascia, it's good for stimulating those fibroblasts. But you can have two different kinds of jumps. So when you make slow jumps, where you have a long contact on the floor, when you have a big knee lever, of course you have also the fascia tissue around the muscle activated. But it's not so much for the ligaments and the tendons. So when you want to activate also the fibroblasts and the ligaments and the tendons, you have to jump like that. You have to be pretty stiff. You have to have short contact on the floor, and you have not much knee lever in your knees. So now those kind of jumps are more for the ligaments, for the tendons and the joint capsules. And of course you can make variations of both kinds of jumps. And at the end we have swinging. We said swing is good for fascia. That's right. And of course if you make swinging like this, not going to the maximum of pre-stretch, you also have a good stimulation for the fibroblasts. But if you want to make the best activation of your fibroblast, if you make it the best collagen synthesis, you have to swing a little bit different. Then you have to swing to the maximum of your stretch position, and you have to accelerate in the other direction. And if it's possible, you should also do some movement variations. So then you have the best stimulation for your fascia. So, you know, I just want to say that we have to be precise. And in any kind of sports, we want to make the best performance. And when we have a workout with more the emphasis on fascia, we should make precise on the little things like swinging in the maximum of pre-stretch. So very important when you make exercise and workouts like that, do not make any swinging exercises in pain. Train within always in a painless range of motion, especially when you're in rehabilitation. Do not make any swing movement, jumping movements in pain. So we always have your limit of swinging in the painless range of motion. So, and of course, when you make a fascial training for rehabilitation, you cannot swing in the maximum pre-stretch. You cannot make an acceleration in the turning point of the movement. So for that, you always should do no acceleration. You just swing and you just jump, and it's still good for rehabilitation and for the healing process. So when you make fascial exercises, work with less weights. We try to feel the centrifugal forces, but for that we only need 300 to 500 grams, and sometimes it goes up to 1 to 3 kilos for some pros in sports. But of course, for the functional muscle exercises, you have to add some more weight. So in this case, you see Lamar Lowery working with a little bit bigger medicine ball. It's a little bit more weight than my ball, because I swing that ball and he just makes slow movements. So now let's come to the fascia meets muscle concept. And for that, I work together with my friend Lamar Lowery. He's an American functional trainer and personal trainer, but he lived a long time in Germany in the nice town Gießen. And he showed me a lots of functional muscle exercises, and I started to translate it in fascia exercises. So we also made a book called Fascia Meets Muscle. And this book, we have lots of exercise in that there. So I just want to show you one example. So here we work with a T-Rex band, and he makes a normal exercise for the butterfly, for the pectoralis muscle. And for fascia, to make a fascia impact in this exercise, you have to do the same in the other direction. It's more a bouncing exercise. But we will see later some videos about those exercises. So in the fascia meets muscle concept, we have 3 different loadings. We have a muscle load, we have a swing load, which we use more for stimulation in rehabilitation, and we have a spring load, which is more for healthy people who look more for sports performance. So muscle load, you see Lamar doing a muscle load exercise. It's relatively slowly. It's a slowly movement, and the focus lies really more on muscle, and the energy which you need for that movement comes a lot from the muscles. So this is a muscle load movement. So then we have a swing load, and the swing load, there you need less muscle. You use more the centrifugal forces for movement. And of course, there is a low injury danger. So this kind of movement is really good for rehabilitation if you do it in a painless range of motion. But you will see, if you have unsporty people, lots of people have problems to do this movement. Lots of people are not able to swing. But swinging is a very important movement to stay healthy. It's like yin and yang. Yin and yang. You have a muscle work, it's really slowly, and you have a swing load, and it's pretty fast, and you don't need so much muscles. And at the end, we have the so-called spring load. So in a spring load for the upper body, we have always do it in the maximum range of motion, and we also should accelerate that movement in the turning point. And of course, it would be also great to make a lots of movement variations. But of course, this is more danger, and this kind of exercises should do only people who are pretty good in movement, who are pro athletes. So for jumping, it's look like that. It's not a slow movement, but it's more fast movement. You have short contacts on the floor, and you have a kind of exploding movement. And of course, again, these are not new movements, but now we knew that those movements are more the emphasis on fascia and not on muscles. So in the fascia meets muscle concept, now we start to combine muscle load and swing and spring load exercises. So one example with the upper body. Lamar is doing a more muscle emphasis movement. So you bring his upper body in front and you lean forward, and then your back muscles have to stabilize this movement. Your back muscles has to work. So this is a more fascial exercise. So to make a more fascia exercise in this area, you have to do something else. You have to swing in a round back to activate the big fascia thoracolumbalis, the most important fascia in your back. You need swinging exercise in a round back. I will come back later to that exercise again. So for your legs again, you see the difference. Lamar is more making a muscle work. So you have a long contact to the floor. You have to stabilize your exercise, and you have lots of knee lever difference. So when you make this exercise more fascia, you have to jump fast. You have to jump really short contact to the floor, and it's like a reactive force to create a better stimulation for the ligaments, the tendons, and the joint capsules, that they get stronger, that they start to get more elastic, that they can start to store more kinetic energy. So when you make exercise like this, you will be able to make all your movements more economic. Mm-hmm. So how can we plan a fascia meets muscle workout? At first, of course, before we make the exercise, we should start with a little bit black roll intro, and we should start also to make some active stretches to make a warm-up for your body. But then you should try to combine those fascial and muscle exercises in one exercise. At the beginning, you have to introduce both exercises, because the people should learn the difference between a more muscle and a more fascia exercise. So then we have to decide with what kind of exercise you have to start. And that depends which is more important for your client. Is muscle more important? The muscle exercise will be the second. If fascia is more important, the fascia exercise will be the second. So the load components is for beginners or for rehabilitation exercise and workouts, you should not make more than 6 to 8 exercises, and you should repeat every exercise only 1 or 2 times. And you should make the fascia exercise not longer than 20 to 30 seconds. And the muscle exercise you can make maybe 40 seconds long. And don't use much weight. Just use 300 to 500 grams at the beginning, because remember, you have a lots of centrifugal forces, and that's very hard. For experts, of course, you can make more exercises. You can make 8 to 12 exercises, but you stay to 1 to 2 sets. So in fascia training and in this training, it's more important to have the quality, but not the quantity. So for experts, also you can go up with a muscle work up to 60 seconds. But fascia exercise, please do not make longer than 40 seconds. That's enough. Otherwise, it could be too much. And of course, you can go up to the weight till maybe 3 kilos. Sometimes you can also go a little bit higher. And at the end, of course, I would always stop with a roll out. So now I have again some examples for those exercises, which you now should bring together. So now think about, we start with a muscle exercise because this person needs more the fascia emphasis at the end. So we start with a muscle exercise. So we have the Y press, making by Lamar. So we should do an exercise like this for maybe 30 seconds. You make a side bending with a weight ball. This is more the emphasis on muscle. And after 30 seconds, you start at once doing the exercise like this. So you make a swinging exercise till the end of range of motion with an acceleration at the turning point. And again, this is for athletes. This is for healthy people. If you would do it in rehabilitation, you would not swing so far. You would not swing to the end range of motion. Next example, we had that before with Lamar. Again, 30 seconds, the muscle exercise. So you do it like this. You do it pretty slow. You would do it for 30 seconds again. And after that, you would start at once with a fascia exercise. So it's more swinging exercise. You go again to the end range of motion. You make the maximum of pre-stretch, and then you start to bounce in that position. And you use all the elastic forces to come back in the neutral position. And the last example is always a jumping exercise. You see Lamar again, making those slow jumps with also a turning around, a spinning movement, but he takes time. He stabilizes after every jump. He has a long contact to the floor, and he has a high knee level difference. So again, after 30 seconds, you stop with that, and you start at once with the other side exercise, with the fascia exercise. And again, you have short contact to the floor. You jump very fast. And now when you turn around, you're not very stable. And this not very stable is very important for the ligaments, the tendons in the knees, and also in the feet joints. Because you get lots of different impulses for those structures. And especially for sports, for football or basketball, you need always those exercises to get a kind of memory system in this fascia tissues, in the ligaments and the tendons and the joint capsules, so they can react in hard situations much more better. So this is the way fascia meets muscle workout works, how it works, and you should bring together those exercises. And at the end, I also want to talk a little bit about the best back training, because we know lots of people who have problems with the back, and also sport pros, they have lots of problem with the back, but also for their performance, they need a really good back. And the back consists of muscles and fascia again, and we have to bring that together. Because in one study, they realized the so-called flexion relaxation phenomenon. So they made the following study. They took people and they put electrodes on the spine, and those electrodes, they measured once the activity of the back muscles and once the activity of the big fascia of the back, the fascia thoracolumbalis. And they have to make the movement. They bend, they back down and come up again. And in this movement, they realized that not muscle is stabilizing this movement all the time. They realized that muscle is only working the first 30 degrees. And after 30 degrees, when you bend more your back, muscle do not work so much anymore, and fascia starts much more to work to stabilize the back. So for good back movements, for a healthy back, you need good muscles, you also need good fascia, and again, you need a good coordination of both muscle and fascia. So at the end, they did this study again with people who have back problems. And there they realized that muscles are always working in this in this movement. So that's wrong. So again, we need good muscle, good back muscle, we good back fascia, and we need a good coordination of that. So now what kind of exercises you can do for that? And here we are again to the exercise we already saw. When Lamar is doing this exercise, he bend his upper body straight in front. So not to fall down, he has to stabilize his back with the back muscles. So this is a back muscle training. But when you change the movement again and you start to make swinging movements in a round back, then you have a good fascia training for the fascia thoracolumbalis. So now we have to combine those exercises to make the best training for your back. And therefore, you really can combine that. So you start to swing with the body, then you start to lean forward with the whole body, then your back muscles are working. And after a while, you start to swing in a round body, and then your fascia thoracolumbalis has to work and has a good stimulation. So you can combine this exercise, and you can train in one exercise your back muscles and also your back fascia, and also the coordination of both structures. So this is, in my case, the best way to make the best training for the back.
Marcus, may I interrupt you? There's a question.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, Claudia is asking, when you mentioned that you use the roll in the beginning of the exercise, she's asking if you use the roll only in the place of the injury or in the whole member, whole leg or whole arm.
I would always do a whole body rollout. If you make a whole body rollout, maybe the first 2 or 3 times, you know the spots where you have to work, and then it's only a 5 or 10 minutes rollout at the beginning. I would do always the whole body, but of course you have to be you do it a little bit more on those places where you have the problems.
Ok. Então ele fala que ele usa o rolo no corpo todo e assim ele vai descobrir qual é o local que você sente mais dor, e nesses locais onde há mais dor, aí você pode gastar mais tempo nesse local.
So that's pretty good, because we are quite at the end of the lecture, and I will be open for questions. But of course, we have a book about fascia meets muscle. It's only in German, but I hope it will be translated in English and maybe also in Chinese and I hope also in Portuguese. And I always put also the second book, Fascia in Sports and Movement, because it's a really good book to have the basics of fascia in sports and movement. And at the end, we also, I will come to Brazil next year and make that fascia meet muscle workshop in Brazil 3 times. So you see the dates over there. And yes, now I'm ready with my lecture and I am open for questions.
Então, pessoal, o professor Marcos terminou a fala dele agora, então a gente aguarda as perguntas. E eu queria fazer uma pergunta que é se precisaria de um trabalho manual antes de iniciar o treinamento mais específico na fáscia. Marcos,
Yes.
I'd like to know that we need to do a manual treatment before use the fascial training or not, or just the row?
No, it's always the best to combine it. So that was my way. At the beginning, I studied sports and I only made movements, and then I really realized that's not enough. Then I start to make that rolling stuff, and I realized only making fascial manipulations or therapeutic thing, it's also not enough. We have to make the combination. We always have to bring those people in good, healthy movements. That's the most important. It doesn't make any sense to make any manipulations and then they don't move. So we have to bring them in really good movements. And for that, I think the combination, fascia and muscle, that's the best. And that's the most, you also, those people have to have fun in the exercises. And swinging and bouncing is lots of fun. All people like it.
Tem mais perguntas aí, Ana?
Tem. There's another question, Marcos. Carla is asking, when you do this exercise in the water, what happens with the fascia activation and the muscle?
Yeah, you don't have any, you have a resistance and you don't have any fascia stimulation anymore. You have to do it outside. You have to feel the, how you call the force, I forgot the name of the force. The what?
Gravity?
Gravity, yeah. You have to feel, you need the gravity. So when you're inside the water, it's not a really good fascia workout.
There's always a question about if we can do the jumps in the trampoline. So when you compare the jump in the trampoline and on the floor, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, when you jump in a trampoline, it's not as much fascia than on a hard floor. You need a hard resistance. You need a fast change in the movement from down to up or from back to forth. So there is still, I mean, trampoline is a really good exercise. We know it's very healthy, but again, it's fascia, but it's not the best fascia exercise.
Ok. Quer traduzir aí a resposta, Ana?
Ele falou que quando a gente compara os exercícios realizados no trampolim e no solo, o mais eficaz é fazer os exercícios no solo, tá? Porque no trampolim você não consegue acessar tanto a fáscia eficazmente quando comparado com o chão. Você precisa de uma superfície dura para trabalhar melhor a fáscia.
O trampolim seria a cama elástica, né, no caso?
Isso, cama elástica,
Tá. Marcos, how about the vibration? this stimulation with vibration movements or rolls. What do you think about this? Eu estou perguntando para ele o que ele pensa sobre a vibração, tanto com os movimentos quanto com um rolo. Tem um rolo da Black Roll que tem um mecanismo de vibração junto, então perguntei isso para ele.
So vibrations at the beginning, also Black Roll made the booster, and you could do something into the Black Roll, and I said, oh my God, something else to sell. And I was not very happy about that. But then I tried it, and it was amazing to use that booster thing. And if you remember in my PowerPoint presentation, there was a picture of the Germany soccer team, and they had during the European Championship, they worked a lot with the booster thing. They worked a lot in regeneration with the vibration things. So it's for me, and now I also looked to some studies, and there it's the fact that vibration and the combination rolling vibration on much more better therapeutic manipulations with my vibrations are much better for fascia than without. And I tried it with my mom. My mom is 89 years old, and she, you know, that restless legs things. So old people, they cannot sleep anymore because their legs start to crumble like this. So I gave her the booster and the vibration Black Roll, and she started to do that. And after that, she realized that it's getting better. So normally she had the rested legs for once a week, and now she has it for 5 weeks only one time. And she was very surprised that she could handle this, and it was very easy for her. So the vibration roll is also for people, for older people, and also for not so strong people and lazy people.
Então, ele falou que a vibração tem um efeito muito positivo, que pode ser a combinação do rolo com a vibração, ou a manipulação, né, o estímulo manual mais a vibração, tem um efeito positivo sobre a fáscia. E ele falou que ele deu um rolo, né, com vibração para a mãe dele, e ela gostou, teve um bom efeito. Então, ele disse que para pessoas com mais idade é positivo, para pessoas que não têm, né, tanta assim, atividade atlética, e para as pessoas que têm preguiça também é bom usar o rolo com vibração, que é muito gostoso mesmo. Tem mais perguntas aí, Ana?
Pergunta aqui sobre a crochetagem. Como que fala crochetagem em inglês? Needling? Yeah. Marcus, there's also another question about como fala crochetagem?
I don't know. Marcus, the question is about some tools that we have to do work with fascia, like this, like a hook.
Yeah.
And what about this? What do you think?
Well, first thing, when you're a therapist, you have to work for maybe 20 or 30 years. I only worked 15 years with my hands, and I already got some problems. So those tools for a therapist, it's good to have some tools like that. So when you get tired, you can use that, and you can take much more care about your own body. And again, we work with the Fascia stuff, and this is really good material. And sometimes you can go much deeper with those tools than with your hands. And most of the people say, yes, when I have a tool, I can't feel anything anymore. But Robert Schleip showed us that when we people or human beings were working with tools. And when you work with a tool only for 1 week or for 2 weeks, you integrate that in your body, and you can feel with that and again. So for me, of course, everybody should have something like that. But of course, I'm not only working with this, I also work with my hands and with my elbows. But you still have to get something like this.
But the question is, with the tools, is it a good tool to use before the exercises, like to prepare the fascia to work?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. If we have somebody who's doing that, of course, and then it's very important to that the people feel it, that you make proprioception exercise also.
Mm-hmm.
So you change the tissue, you make another movement, and your client has to feel it, has to describe it.
Yes. Yeah, Fabi, eu vou falar uma coisinha. I think you said something really important. I see these tools, either the hook or the myofascial release. They are very important to work before an exercise, so the patient learn the movement, or either the patient starts to have more conscious about that muscle or that fascia or the movement. So I think that's very important in this situation.
Exactly. You have to translate it, or?
Yes, yeah, I have translate. Eu falei que eu vejo que essas ferramentas de liberação miofascial, essa acrochetagem, elas são muito importantes para serem usadas antes, né, como fase preparatória, antes de se executar os exercícios, porque é uma ferramenta boa para o fisioterapeuta usar para o cliente sentir o movimento, aprender o movimento, ter uma consciência melhor do que está sendo trabalhado. Eu acho que isso ajuda muito nesse aspecto também.
And Marcos, I'd like to know if you use some evaluation stuff, or you just analyze the movements or the activity of the clients. How do you do this?
There are lots of evaluation programs out there in Germany. For me, it's always the problem because you have individual bodies. Everybody is individual. Everybody has other bones, other muscles, other fascia, and another daily routine. So for me, it's hard to bring that in one evaluation system. So for me, it's very important to make my analyze, to make a body reading, to see them move, and then to analyze if this movement is healthy, is this movement enough? Do that person needs more stability or flexibility? So in my case, I do not work a lot. I do not work a lot with evaluation systems.
Uhum. Então, eu perguntei para ele se ele tinha algum método de avaliação dos pacientes, dos clientes. Ele disse que não usa, porque as pessoas têm características muito individuais e que não se consegue reunir em um só instrumento para fazer essa avaliação. Então, tem que realmente ver a pessoa se mover e individualizar para cada pessoa. Ana, tem mais perguntas?
Tem. Marcos, what is your opinion about putting something to increase circulation, like something warm, and combine this with the fascia exercises?
Mm-hmm. It depends what you want to reach. So in sports, in pro sports, when you make a 100-meter run, you need a kind of positive stiffness in your fascia. So those guys really sometimes work with ice. So Usain Bolt, I don't know when, but we work a little bit together with his physiotherapist. And Usain Bolt, I don't know when, but once in the day when he has his run, he lies in ice water. So when you want to make a release, when you have problems with fascia, because you have an adhesion or you have bad fascia, then it would be good to make it more warm, and then you make your fascial manipulation or your exercises.
Okay.
So it depends.
Okay.
Pode traduzir, Ana?
Posso. Então, o uso do calor vai depender do que você quer como objetivo, né? Se você quer relaxar, soltar essa região, sim, o calor é indicado. Mas, por exemplo, no atleta que vai correr 100 metros, ele precisa da fáscia mais enrijecida. Então, nesse caso, é até aconselhado o uso do gelo ao invés do calor.
Uhum. Tem mais perguntas aí?
Acho que não.
Uhum.
Não.
Tu quer fazer alguma pergunta?
I quero. Marcus, there's always this question. What is the frequency of the fascial training during the week? Should we do every other day or only twice a week? Because we have to also to respect the time of collagen formation, right?
Exactly, yeah. But you know that, Anna. You already know that. So fascia training you should only do once or twice a week. And it's only maybe when you only make a real fascia training, it's maybe only 20 or 30 minutes.
Okay.
It's a really short time to make those exercises.
Tá. Então, ele falou que o treinamento é de 1 a 2 vezes por semana, de 20 a 30 minutos no máximo. É um treinamento curto. And there's also another question that people usually ask me, which is this. When you are doing fascia training, should we eat this or that before or after the training? Some people say, okay, you should eat gelatin before the training. What is your opinion about this?
Yeah, there's right now we heard about a study, or I have the study about that. But this study is not made with a lots of people. But in this study, they realized when you make, I think, about 20 or 30 minutes before you work out, you have to take gelatin in the combination with vitamin C. And that would enhance the collagen synthesis twice. So you can make it double. Okay. So this is very interesting, but at the end, it's just a study with not very much people, but this guy, he will make I heard about that, another study with more people, and then we'll see what happens.
Ok. Tem um estudo sendo feito, mas ainda o número de participantes não é tão grande. Inclusive, esse estudo está sendo feito na UCLA, em Los Angeles, que fala que comer gelatina 30 minutos, gelatina com vitamina C, 30 minutos antes do treino, é benéfico, mas ainda estão fazendo esse estudo, não está concluído ainda. Ok.
So, Marcos, when we do a static stretch, we are working with fascia, okay?
Yes,
but
right.
How long we need to do the fascial training to hamstring, for example? How long you can do this in one time, in one session?
So again, every exercise is you have fascia inside there. But when you make a static stretch, we have 4 different kinds of fascia, and in a static stretch you only got one. So that's the reason why we need the action, why we need the movement variation, why we need the bouncing to get all 4 fascia different layers. And an exercise should not last longer than a normal static exercise. So when you make a fascial stretch exercise, it might be about 30 to 40 seconds, like a normal stretch you do. So it's no time difference between both exercises.
Can you talk about these 4 layers that we are working with the fascia training?
Yes, I can. For that, I have to open, just wait a second. So for that, I will open another PowerPoint presentation. It takes just a couple seconds, and I will be right with you again.
I will translate the answer. Eu perguntei para ele que num alongamento estático a gente fica ali bastante tempo parado. Perguntei quanto tempo seria no alongamento, por exemplo, a isquios tibiais, um treino facial, e ele respondeu que no alongamento estático a gente atingiu uma camada da fáscia e que no treino da fáscia, fascial training, a gente atingiria 4. Eu perguntei quais são essas camadas, então ele já vai responder.
I'll be right with you. Just a second.
Ok.
Here we go. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so wait a minute. No. Okay, now we change again. And yes. So we have 4 different fascial muscle elements and any kind of muscles. So the first thing are the so-called serial elements. The serial elements is all at the end of a muscle. So when you have a calf muscle, at the end of the calf muscle is the Achilles tendon. And this is one element. So the Achilles tendon are serial fascial elements. Then you have the so-called transversal structures. The transversal fascial elements, this is the envelope of the muscle. This is the envelope of a muscle fiber or of a muscle bundle. That's the skin around the muscle. That's a transversal fascial element. Then you have parallel elements. These are fascia parallel to the littlest unit of a muscle of the sarcomeres. And along those sarcomeres, again, you have fascia. And the last elements are the extramuscular fascia. These are the tiny little collagen fibers connecting everything with everything.
Okay.
So when you want to make, of course, when you make a workout now, we want to have an effect on all 4 fascial muscle elements. So when you now make a strength training, you just have an influence on the transversal fascia. So you have only affect one fascia element. When you make a static stretching, you have an effect on the parallel elements and on the extramuscular elements. So you only affect 2 elements. So that's the reason why we need an active stretching, but because in this active stretching, you get 3 from 4 elements in one exercise. And that's the reason why, of course, we can do static stretching also, but if you want to affect the most elements of fascia, you should do active stretching. And that's the reason why.
Nice, amazing explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Tem mais perguntas aí, Ana?
Não, não tem mais. Ô, Fá, não seria melhor você traduzir o que ele respondeu agora?
Ah, eu fiquei tão encantada que eu esqueci. Ele me ajuda aí para eu resumir. Ele falou que quando a gente faz treinamento de força, a gente faz numa direção somente, né, Ana? Tá certo?
Na transversal. A gente pega o elemento transversal, que é o número 2.
Isso. E depois, quando a gente faz o alongamento estático, a gente pega 2 elementos, que são as fibras extras.
Isso, que é o número 3 e 4.
Isso. E que quando a gente trabalha a face, a gente consegue pegar os 4 elementos pela variação dos movimentos de velocidade, né?
Quando a gente trabalha o alongamento ativo, ao invés de a gente pegar só 2, a gente consegue pegar 3 elementos de uma vez só.
Tá.
Muito legal isso, né?
I just want to see one thing to that. So static stretching is also very important. Static stretching, active or fascial stretching is not more important than static stretching. So you just have to bring it to the function. if you make active stretching, you create more fascia activity. If you make static stretching, they realized that the muscle starts to create anti-inflammation substances spreading out in the muscle. So when you have an inflammation in your body or in a muscle, you should make static stretching and not active stretching. But when you have when you want to have more impact on the fascia, then you should do active stretching. So that's very important.
Yeah.
Traduzir aí, Ana.
É assim, quando você tem uma inflamação no corpo, então aí é melhor fazer os alongamentos estáticos, né? E não fazer o alongamento ativo. Quer complementar, Fá?
Não, acho que é isso mesmo, né? Bom, vamos ver se a gente tem mais aí alguma pergunta. E aí, para a gente já ir finalizando, que o nosso tempo já está esgotando.
Acho que não temos mais perguntas aqui.
Não?
No.
Tá.
No more questions.
No more questions, ok. So, então, pessoal, a gente vai finalizar esse webinar. Acho que foi um momento, assim, muito rico de aprendizado. A gente agradece muito todas as perguntas que vocês fizeram. A participação de vocês foi bem importante, foi bem bacana. Eu quero agradecer também a professora Ana Otsubo, que nos ajudou, tanto assim na questão da tradução, quanto, né, contribuindo com o seu conhecimento, e também ao professor Marcos, que vai vir ao Brasil ano que vem, né, vai vir para São Paulo, vai vir para Porto Alegre, talvez Belo Horizonte, Rio de Janeiro, então, para passar todo esse conhecimento, né, que é uma área que a gente tem que explorar muito mesmo, né, e o Cirklo vai trazer o professor Marcos, então, para estar aqui conosco no Brasil, junto com a professora Ana Otsubo. Então, eu vou dizer tchau para ele, agradecer. So, Marcos, thank you so much for your lecture, for your explanations, and to share your knowledge with us. So, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, you can say goodbye. Now, I will put you on the screen.
Thank you very much for your invitation. Thank you, everybody. And we're really looking forward to come back to Brazil and seeing the beach, maybe seeing a soccer or football game over there would be great. And hopefully I will see anybody of you from the webinar in my workshops. I'm really looking forward to that time. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Ana, por
Muito
favor.
obrigada. Thank you so much, Marcos, for giving this webinar. It was very, very good and very, I mean, I think everybody could understand the difference between muscle and training and fascia training. We are looking forward for you to come next year. And yes, we're going to bring you to the beach and to a soccer game. Don't worry.
Perfect.
You're going to Rio. I promise you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Então tá, pessoal, muito obrigada. Então, até um próximo webinar. No próximo mês, nós vamos ter um webinar com a professora Sue Falson, que é dos Estados Unidos, e ela vai falar entre o gap entre a reabilitação e o treinamento. Então, também vai ser um momento muito bom, então estejam conosco, porque veio muita coisa boa por aí, tanto online quanto presencial. Muito obrigada e até a próxima.
I know Sue Falson. Don't miss her. She's really good.
Yeah, she's really good, like you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much. Obrigada, gente. Uma boa noite. Até o próximo webinar.